I'm Paige, 34 years old, and 2 months ago, I woke up in a hospital bed with a punctured lung and broken ribs, only to discover that my newborn daughter was being cared for by a stranger because my own mother chose a casino night over coming to the hospital. For 9 years before that moment, I had secretly sent my parents $4,500 every single month, nearly $500,000 in total, and not once had anyone truly thanked me. But everything changed the night my life almost ended, and the truth about my family finally came to light. 9 years earlier, when I was just 25 and proudly holding my first real paycheck after college, my mother called me in tears, claiming my father had suffered a small stroke and that medical bills were destroying them financially. She told me they were about to lose their home and begged me to help by sending $2,000 every month. But she insisted I keep it secret from my father because she said he would be ashamed to accept money from his daughter. I believed every word she said because helping family felt like the natural thing to do. So that same night, I set up an automatic bank transfer without hesitation, thinking I was saving my parents from disaster. At first, the amount seemed manageable, but over time, the requests grew larger and more frequent. By the third year, my mother said the payments needed to increase to $3,500 because of new medical treatments and home repairs, and by the fifth year, she convinced me to raise it to $4,500 a month, explaining that costs kept rising and that my younger sister Megan needed support while she pursued her dream of becoming a social media influencer. Meanwhile, I quietly adjusted my own life to make the payments possible, working longer hours, skipping vacations, delaying plans to buy a home, and turning down small luxuries that many people my age enjoyed, while Megan seemed to live a completely different life, filled with designer bags, expensive trips, and glamorous photos on social media where she proudly thanked our mother for always supporting her. Every now and then, small doubts crossed my mind, but I ignored them because I wanted to believe my sacrifices were protecting my family. And whenever I questioned anything, my mother reminded me how much they depended on me and how proud my father supposedly was of my success, even though he never directly spoke about the money. My husband Daniel began noticing the strange pattern after we married, pointing out that my mother rarely asked about my well-being and seemed far more interested in the monthly transfers than in my life. But I brushed aside his concerns for years because admitting the truth would mean admitting I might have been manipulated by the people I trusted most. When I became pregnant at 33, however, everything started to feel different because I suddenly understood what it meant to protect a child's future. Daniel helped me calculate the total amount I had sent to my parents over the years, and when the number reached $486,000, I felt a wave of shock, realizing that money could have bought a house or secured my daughter's education. I finally suggested lowering the monthly payments slightly, hoping to save for our own family, but my mother reacted with anger and accused me of abandoning them during a difficult time, and the guilt she created was powerful enough that the transfers continued. Then came the night that changed everything. I was 36 weeks pregnant and driving home through heavy rain when a pickup truck ran a red light and slammed violently into my car. The crash shattered glass and twisted metal around me, and the pain in my chest became unbearable before everything went dark. Doctors later told me they had performed an emergency C-section while I was unconscious in order to save my daughter, who was born premature and immediately placed in the NICU, while I remained unconscious for 14 hours. During that time, Daniel was traveling for work and rushed back as quickly as he could, but before reaching the hospital, he called my mother asking her to drive 20 minutes to see Emma and stay with her until he arrived. Instead, he heard loud casino sounds in the background as she casually refused, saying Megan was on vacation and she had promised to watch her cat, then dismissing the situation by telling him that I always had dramatic emergencies. When I finally woke up in the ICU with tubes in my throat and pain in every breath, the nurse gently explained that my baby was stable but still in the NICU and that no one from my family had come to the hospital. That moment broke something inside me. For 9 years, I had believed I was the person holding my family together, yet when my life and my child's life were on the line, they were nowhere to be found. Lying there in pain, I opened my banking app and stared at the long list of automatic transfers I had faithfully sent every month. And with 3 quiet taps of my finger, I canceled every single payment. Just a few hours later, my grandfather Harold unexpectedly walked into my hospital room carrying a folder of documents that revealed the truth I had refused to see for years. He had discovered the bank transfers long ago and investigated them quietly after hearing my mother tell relatives that I was selfish and never helped the family. The statements showed exactly where the money had gone, and much of it had not been used for medical bills at all, but for luxury purchases, vacations, and supporting Megan's lifestyle. My father eventually admitted he had known some of the truth, but had been too afraid to confront my mother, and hearing that confession hurt almost as much as discovering the deception itself. Weeks later, after I recovered and brought Emma home, I decided to give my mother one final chance by inviting her to a small gathering celebrating my daughter's birth. Unfortunately, she used the opportunity to secretly pressure my grandfather about leaving his inheritance entirely to Megan, not realizing her conversation was overheard by several guests. That moment finally ended any doubt I had left. In front of everyone, I calmly revealed that I had sent my parents $486,000 over 9 years while being told I was selfish, and I explained that the monthly transfers had ended the day I woke up in the hospital without their support. After that day, our lives slowly changed for the better. Without the constant financial drain, Daniel and I were able to pay off our debts, start a college fund for Emma, and build a peaceful home filled with people who genuinely cared about us. My grandfather strengthened his relationship with me and became a loving presence in Emma's life, visiting often and reminding me that family should never be built on guilt or obligation. The most important lesson I learned through all of this is that love does not demand endless sacrifice, and real family doesn't disappear when you need them most. Sometimes the hardest decision, choosing to stop giving to those who only take, is the very decision that finally allows you to build the life and the future your own child deserves.